Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tom, and today I'm taking a look at a Connecticut mall that was considered a dead mall long before Crystal Mall, Meriden Mall, or Brass Mill Center gained that status. This is Enfield Square Mall in Enfield, Connecticut. I've been shopping at this mall since the mid-90s, and I've been documenting its decline since 2021. Because this is an update video, I'm not going to go over the mall's full history again, but for those that haven't seen my previous videos, here's a very brief history of the mall. The mall was developed by the May Centers and opened in November of 1971. The original anchor stores were Steiger's, JCPenney, and G. Fox. All of these original anchor stores and their replacements have all since closed. Today, the only remaining anchor store is Target, which I would guess is probably responsible for bringing in at least 75% of the customers to this mall, if not much more. On the left is a restaurant called Mosaic. That moved in about, I think, 2 years ago. Before that, it was Panera Bread. On the right there, that used to be Ruby Tuesday, and that has been closed since 2016, so quite a while. On the right here, I don't know what this place is called. There's no name on it, but this was not here back in May, and it also wasn't here back in late November when I came through the mall. I didn't do a video back then, but that was not there. So that's interesting. This kebab restaurant also went in fairly recently. I would say probably within the last 2 years or so. And then, as you can probably guess, this used to be Sears. The Sears closed back in 2017, and I used to shop there all the time. That's where I got most of my clothes up until it closed. And of course, this store directory is meaningless at this point. They haven't updated that in a very long time. And then straight ahead where that Moz is today, that used to be LA Subs, which was also a fairly new restaurant. I think LA Subs opened maybe 2 years ago, and I think it closed very recently. I don't know exactly when. On the left, this is where the Cinemark movie theater was located. It closed back in December of 2023, and I did a video there on closing night, believe it or not, so check out that video if you want to see what it looked like right before it closed. On the right, this second floor games, this is still in business, but it's not currently open for the day. However, I think that Boule is out of business because I don't think I've ever seen it open. That used to be Haven Games. They're not out of business though, they actually just moved down the hall to a much better location. I'm not exactly sure how long the Payless has been closed, but it's been many years at this point. On the left is Crystal's Fun Spot, which, as you can probably tell, used to be a CVS at one point. It hasn't been a CVS though for many, many years. And then on the right is SSU Photo Designs and Galaxy Pops, and from what I understand, they are moving out of the mall in January of 2025. Then on the left we have the New Life Church, and on the right the New Life Church Annex, which have been in the mall for at least a few years now. I'm not exactly sure when they opened. On the right is State Line Video Games. They used to have two locations in the mall. They had a actual game store over by the Target, which I believe closed just last month in November of 2024. And then they have that party location there, which I think is still open according to an article I just read on Facebook. This store on the left used to be Bath & Body Works up until I think January of 24, and then it became the Moon Crystal, which has since closed as well. In case you're wondering, this video was filmed about a week before Christmas at roughly 1 p.m. And this was probably the busiest I've seen the mall in a very long time, which I'm sure has to do with the fact that this is a week before Christmas and Santa was at the mall as well. But I would say after, the new year, this mall is going to be dead as a doornail once again. Now, I'm not exactly sure when the mall started declining, but I would guess it was probably sometime in the early 2000s. However, it wasn't until somewhere between 2016 and 2017 when the mall really started to go downhill and became what I would consider a dead mall. The reason I say this is because in 2016, the mall's owners at that time, Brixmor Property Group, defaulted on a $240 million loan, and JP Morgan Chase foreclosed on the mall. Around that same time, both of the Macy's stores closed, and then in 2017, Sears closed, which left the mall with only Target and arguably the Cinemark movie theater as anchors. This Party City moved in 2017, but shortly after I filmed this video, I learned that Party City was going out of business. All their stores are closing. From what I understand, this store will probably close in February or March of 2025. So I think I probably will do a walkthrough video of that Party City sometime before it closes. However, I did do a quick walkthrough of that Party City back in May of this year. And here's where Haven Games moved to. I would say their store now looks much better than it did back when it was in the old location next to the Cinemark. This is the Money Pit, which moved in fairly recently as well, probably in the last year and a half or so. Straight ahead, that was G Fox until it became Filene's in 1993. It was then rebranded as a Macy's women's store in 2006, and the Macy's finally closed in 2016. And yes, the GameStop is still open. The mall was sold to Namdar in 2019, and they still own the mall to this day. The general consensus seems to be that Namdar hasn't put much, if any, effort into revitalizing or even maintaining the mall since they bought it. As I discussed in some of my prior videos on this mall, between 2022 and 2023, the roofs in both of the old Macy's locations partially collapsed, which in addition to causing extensive water damage also damaged the mall's fire suppression system, putting the entire mall at risk. The town of Enfield allegedly reached out to Namdar in 2022 and 2023 to fix these issues, but Namdar allegedly didn't respond until after the town threatened to shut down the entire mall in July of 2023 if the repairs weren't done in a timely manner. Not surprisingly, repair crews were sent out to the mall not long after that, and they're the ones that sealed off the entrances to some of the empty storefronts. I always like to check out this vending machine to see if the sodas are expired, and they are. The expiration dates on those Cokes are all from October of 2024. And again, this was filmed in December of 2024. So before you buy anything out of those vending machines, I would highly suggest that you check the expiration dates. I checked online and that Rainbow Vacuum Sales is still in business apparently, but they don't open until 4 o'clock on Fridays. When I was last here in May of 2024, the big news was that the mall was in the process of being sold to Woodsonia Acquisitions, but it's my understanding that the deal is still in the works and nothing has been finalized yet. However, if Woodsonia does buy the mall, they intend to demolish it, except for the Target, which Namdar does not own, and turn the property into an outdoor mixed-use center, which would include housing, hotels, restaurants, and some retail shops as well. From what I've read, the deal was dependent upon Woodsonia obtaining $20 million from the state of Connecticut to help cover the cost of the project, but in September of this year, the state announced that they would not be approving this request for $20 million. Since then, Woodsonia has reduced its request for state funding to $10 million, and according to a recent article, they should know by March of 2025 if the funding will be approved. If the state rejects this request as well, it seems unlikely that the deal with Woodsonia will go through, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Personally, I would hate to see them tear the mall down, but at this point it seems so far gone that really seems like the only reasonable option at this point. On the left, that store with the green facade used to be a CBD store, I think, which was open when I was here back in May. And then on the corner, that was going to be Quest VR Lounge, but from what I've read, that never opened. Coming up on the left is D Gym. They originally opened in October of 2023, but they closed, I believe, just last month. So they're now gone. And then on the right, this is where State Line Video Games was located until just last month. And then finally we come to Target, which, like I mentioned, brings in the vast majority of the customers to this mall. Don't know the exact percentage, but it's very, very high. And I would say this Target will probably be the last store to close here, if it ever closes. And if anybody wants me to do a walkthrough of that Target someday, please let me know. Now don't go anywhere yet. As usual, I'm going to do a drive around of the mall and we can see what it looks like from the outside. And instead of doing a real close-up drive around like I usually do, I figured I'd get a wide-angle view of the mall so you can see what it looks like as a whole. So straight ahead, that's where Sears used to be. And then the Target is the red building to the right of it. And generally speaking, the vast majority of the cars in the parking lot are parked next to that Target. Or over here, where they actually built a Raising Cane's chicken restaurant, which is to my right, so you can't see it in the video. But that also brings in a lot of business here. And then straight ahead, that's the old G. Fox building, which eventually became Filene's and then finally Macy's. And that is one of the buildings where the roof collapsed just in the last year or two. The big building on the right there was the original anchor store JCPenney until it closed in 2000. It became Filene's Men's and Home in 2001, and then it was rebranded as a Macy's in 2006. The Macy's then closed in 2016, and that is also one of the locations where the roof collapsed in the last year or two. And then straight ahead, that used to be the Cinemark, and to its right, that was Sears. And then finally coming up on the left here is the old Sears Auto Center. And there you have it. That is my December 2024 update on Enfield Square Mall. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell. I've got a lot more mall videos coming up, as well as store walkthroughs and, of course, flea markets. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.